So you've heard of the Doomed by Fate drama. I mean, it's been plastered everywhere. Where a 20-year-old girl named Kit had a seizure and died from the recent Doomed by Fate update that added 1x with bright flashing lights. The one telling the story on Discord is Draco Bloxer, but on sites like Twitter, her name is Mel. She's been the one telling this story and hyping it up online, trying to get everyone to know about how bad Doomed by Fate is. Recently, there's been 2 videos come out by Probably Pickett and Creekcraft. In the video, Creekcraft talked to Mel and many other developers talking about the situation. I will be showing proof from Creekcraft's video and things that I'll be showing stuff from Probably Pickett's video and Creekcraft's video. I'll have both videos linked in the description. I'll also have them in the card that you'll see on the top right. Probably Pickett once said that he might do a charity stream for the Epilepsy Foundation, kind of like how he did with Make-A-Wish, and he was saying that he might do it, not that it was a total yes and they were going to do it now or whatever. Well, Mel went online and announced that Probably Pickett was doing a charity stream for the Epilepsy Foundation, but that's not at all what Pickett said. A similar thing happened with Sharky Leo.
So, I said for the foundation, that'd be cool. Not sure if it's happening, and I'm even less sure when it will be. Which, this was basically my way of acknowledging it without saying, yeah, let's do it. Because again, I didn't know the story and the whole thing felt kind of suspect to me. Somehow, me saying, you know, that's a nice sentiment, I'll look into it, that sounds nice, we'll see, turned into, we're doing it, which is not what I said at all.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Mel made that tweet, which I didn't even know about until Kit told me, not even 20 minutes ago. Like this tweet saying like, yeah, we're going to do a stream, we're going to do it. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. Editing Pickett here, jumping in for just a second. Just wanted to slide this in here. I am not the only person who Mel claimed was helping them when they weren't. As of right now, I know for a fact that at least Sharky Leo was name dropped and said was helping Mel work on getting Doomed by Fate taken down when he never agreed to anything like that. So just making that clear, just know that this person has a history of being loose with who is on their team.
The story that Mel was giving to Creekcraft about what happened was really inconsistent, and there was a lot of contradictions to the original story, and there was even things like forgetting their friend's username, which is odd because you don't usually forget your friend's username. Especially in a moment like this, you can easily go through your friends list and find it.
So the person making the claims that their friend died was this person here named Draco Bloxer, aka Mel. That's what they go by. For the rest of the video, I'll just call them Mel. They sent these Discord messages saying, hey, tell the others I don't have much time. My friend, redacted, got a seizure from playing Doomed by Fate thanks to 1x. I'm running here right now. I need to go. And then it says 2 hours later, Kit passes away in emergency surgery. Mel says, I have to go soon, but get this to anyone with a large following. Kit died. She died in surgery. All because of this, she died in the emergency surgery. And that's really all we had to go off of right here. These 2 screenshots. But I reached out to Draco Bloxer, aka Mel, and we had a 37-minute Discord call going over this entire story and what happened. Now, I'm not going to play the entire Discord call because it's 36 minutes long, almost 37, but if you want to watch the full unedited thing, it's up on my Twitter in its entirety. I'll have a link in the description if at any point you want to watch the entire unedited version. So basically, Draco Bloxer, aka Mel, is claiming that her friend Kit, who I should also say real quick is 20 years old and lives alone. Draco Bloxer here claims that her entire family is no longer living. Her entire family passed away. You can see in these messages here, Mel says she was far older than me, she lived alone, and she was about the only one left of her family. In the call, Mel basically says that Kit's entire family, like immediate family, was gone, like passed away. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters, grandmas, grandpas, like everyone's gone. I should also note, if I haven't said this, Mel is 13, Kit was 20. Anyway, Kit has a seizure. The person that lives next door to Kit, a 19-year-old dude, somehow realizes that Kit is having a seizure next door and somehow gets into her house. I should also note that the 19-year-old dude who lives next door lives with his parents. His parents were home at the time they were asleep. I'm not sure why he didn't wake them up, but he did not. So this 19-year-old dude goes next door, somehow gets into the house, finds Kit unconscious, having a seizure, and for some reason, I'm not really sure why, that 19-year-old dude decided to call Mel, the 13-year-old, instead of 911 and obviously emergency medical services. So the 19-year-old dude calls Mel, the 13-year-old, tells Mel the situation. Mel then leaves her house. Apparently she lives with her dad, and her dad did not care. Her words, not mine. Again, it's all in the call if you want to watch it. Mel then runs 15 blocks to her friend Kit's house, during which the 19-year-old dude calls 911. They send the ambulance. Mel claims that when she got to the house and arrived, which was before the ambulance got there, that Kit was barely breathing and that Mel performed CPR, which I want to say right now, just in general, you don't perform CPR on someone that that is still breathing, especially someone that is actively having a seizure. CPR is meant for when someone is not breathing and or does not have a pulse. So I'm not really sure why they perform CPR on her here. Anyway, emergency medical services, the ambulance takes her to the hospital. Mel says that the 19-year-old neighbor then goes back home, wakes his parents up, tells them the situation, and Mel decides to walk an hour to the hospital. So she walks an hour to the hospital. Her words, not mine. She gets to the hospital, tells the hospital that she's here to see her friend Kit. Hospital lets her into the room. You can see some of these messages here. She's waking up. I gotta go. She's on the verge of death. I'm not joking. Have a second while she's being driven to update people on her. I don't have time to type, but she's critical. Well, anyway, Mel then gets into the room with Kit, where Mel then finds that her heartbeat is really, really slow. And for some reason, instead of calling a doctor, decides to go on Discord and tell everyone to get a YouTuber on the story instead of calling a doctor when her friend is actively dying in front of her. But anyway, Mel claims that the doctors then come in, take her friend into surgery, and then 10 minutes later, during that surgery, her friend dies in the middle of it. And how does Mel know that Kit passed away? Well, Mel claims that she snuck into the operating ward of the hospital and watched the doctors do surgery through the operating room window and door, the gap in the door. Again, this is her words, not mine. You can watch the full call. It's out there. And then at some point, while the doctors were doing surgery on her, they dropped their tools, looked down, looked sad, and Mel knew at that moment that her friend was dead. And then she proceeded to sneak back out of the hospital, walk an hour back home, and here we are. There's a lot of things in the story that just don't make sense. This 20-year-old's family is entirely dead. She has no immediate next of kin. The 19-year-old dude from next door somehow realizes that she's having a seizure next door, Kit that is, rushes over to save her and see what's going on and doesn't wake his parents up to let them know. Mel here is 13 years old, tells her dad that, hey, my friend's having a seizure, and the dad says, okay, cool, yeah, just run off into the night and go deal with it. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't call emergency services. Mel is a 13-year-old that ran 15 blocks at midnight to go save her friend. And then when EMS services get there, the 19-year-old neighbor goes and tells his parents the whole situation, and they don't go to the hospital to see their next door neighbor that is dying. They just stay there. And Mel here decides to walk 1 hour. A 13-year-old at midnight on foot walks 1 hour to the hospital. She doesn't get a ride with the neighbors or anything like that. Now, here's the biggest thing. And I didn't talk about this in the call because, again, I was trying to be pretty neutral in the call. After Mel says that she walks an hour to the hospital, she tells them that she's here to see her friend Kit, and they let her in. Hospitals do not let people in to a patient's room if they are in critical condition. If they are literally on the verge of death in critical condition, no one is allowed to go back in that room. Especially not a random 13-year-old who claims that they were at the hospital by themselves without any parent or guardian or adult at all. That's just not how hospitals work. Also, Mel claims that she snuck into the operating ward of the hospital. Also, not possible. A 13-year-old is not sneaking into the operating ward of a hospital. That's not how it works. You have to be let in. There's procedures. It doesn't work like that. Mel also says in the call I had with them that she watched the surgery through the operating room window and also through the gap in the door of the operating room. Operating rooms typically don't have windows for various reasons. You can probably imagine. And they definitely don't have large gaps in between the doors into the surgery room because that's unsanitary. That's unsafe. Operating rooms, surgery rooms are airtight. They're locked up because they don't want outside contaminants getting in while someone is cut open on the inside. So if this person is claiming that they just watched from the gap in the door, that's not how this works. They also claim right here that she died due to suffocation in surgery. Well, how do you know that? You didn't talk to any doctor. You didn't talk to anybody. You just snuck in and watched them through a window, allegedly. And then you just snuck out of the hospital, which, by the way, you can't sneak out of the operating ward of a hospital. Again, you have to be literally like beeped in, beeped out. There's key cards, like there's you have to call it. You don't just sneak in and out. You just sneak out through a window. That's not how this works.
So what does this mean from the proof that we have? And the proof that I've shown you just now is that this is most definitely fake. Kit probably never existed. And you know what? Thank God. I'm so glad that nobody died, honestly. So pretty much Mel's story has just fallen flat. I want to talk about also, because I was kind of under this assumption too with the dev team. For the most part, the dev team is innocent. They live in a whole different country. They live in Thailand. So when all this was happening, this drama was happening, they were actually asleep. They were aware of the epilepsy situation and they were getting a hotfix out soon, before the drama even came out. If I had to say one thing about that, though, is that they should have said epilepsy toggle was broken and then they were fixing it. That's probably what should have happened. A lot of those screenshots, like with the Tung Sahar and making fun of, mocking the kid and all that stuff. Apparently that wasn't even the main dev team. That was mainly a lot of moderators, Discord staff, contributors, concept artists, stuff like that. And they were not affiliated with Doom by Fate's team or the game or anything. I think there was like a wiki contributor, mainly in that Tung Sahara image. I think the NYZ, the main one causing ruckus, was just like a wiki contributor. So they weren't affiliated with the official game. and most of the dev team, mainly the negligence that's been going on, was mainly just them being asleep and they were working on a fix. If I recall, I think they already got the hotfix out. It's still disgusting what was said, because if somebody died, if somebody actually died, the Discord staff and the contributors and all that stuff would be still in the wrong. They are still in the wrong because they were in full assumptions that somebody did die, and if somebody died, that would have been terrible. But this is different because this is just ignorant Discord staff, and people like NYZ has already been fired. They're probably gonna start purging more of the staff. Some of these people are, again, contributors like to the wiki. So the dev team is actually innocent. So I'm not as mad about the dev team anymore. I'm still not happy about what the contributors and staff said.
Oh, first he says that NYZ, the person that sent this message right here, is not part of the staff team. They're not on the dev team, nor are they on the mod team. They were a volunteered Trello manager to do information sites for our game. I should point out here that the developers of this game are, they're from Asia, they're from Thailand, so their English isn't perfect here. But the guy who sent this message right here was not on the dev team or anything like that. They were simply making, I guess, wikis for the game. They said he was nice and joyful before everything happened. We had zero awareness about his behavior. We immediately applied punishment to him as soon as he showed the disrespectful behavior. I should point out too that the developers said that they were all asleep whenever this was going on, because again, they're from Asia, they're from Thailand, and so they woke up and all this was happening and they were being accused of, murdering this person. And so they claimed that they had no idea of any of this until like they woke up, because obviously time zones. My second question was, did you ignore the feedback about adding an epilepsy mode to the game? Because obviously if you have a character or something in the game that has flashy lights or anything that could trigger epilepsy, then you need to have some sort of toggle or warning in the game. They said, no, we did not neglect the suggestions and feedback. We were actively working on the epilepsy toggle. We launched a hotfix regarding this issue. Everything is fixed. Now, basically, I ended up talking a little bit further here, but the gist of the situation is they added the 1X update on Sunday. That update came with an epilepsy toggle. That toggle, unfortunately, did not work. It was bugged. Now, since the developers were asleep whenever they figured out that it was bugged and not working, they had to get a separate developer to come in and fix the bug, which they say they had fixed in roughly about a day or so, a little bit under a day, half a day to a day. By Monday, they claim it was fixed and that the epilepsy toggle in the game was working. I then asked how old they were. They said 19 years old, first year university student. And yeah, here it is. I said, so the update was out, but the epilepsy mode was bugged, and then you guys fixed it within a day or so. They said, yes, sir, exactly. I then asked who all these people were in the screenshot here. As you can see, the ones that I was showing, these right here, for example, the ones I was showing before. And they say all the presented individuals within the screenshot besides Josh aren't staff and in any way do not represent the game or the development team themselves. They were literally just people with artist and conceptor roles. I'm guessing for some reason, if you had an artist tag on your Discord profile for this game, you could still chat whenever the server was like muted or paused or whatever. Not really sure why, but that seems to be the case here. I said, quick recap, most of the dev team was sleeping during this because they were in Asia. The people making the comments on Discord aren't even on the dev team, and the epilepsy mode was included with the update, but bugged out, was fixed within a day, and was in the process of being fixed before all this even happened. Is that accurate? They said, exactly. I then asked who this guy is here, the DAAS guy, from this screenshot right here. A lot of people on Twitter are claiming that this guy is the co-owner of the game. He's making these comments. Lazy said he's the main manager, but he didn't have any influence with the situation. He's a target of the community, but he didn't deserve this. I said, did he quit a month ago? Because he claims he quit a month ago. He said, technically, yes. He was helping us set up the server and hiring staff. Basically, this guy here, from what they claim, was a guy that they hired to help set up the Discord and hire staff members. He managed the Discord, and that was it. He didn't have any role in development or anything like that, and he's definitely not a co-owner or anything like that, and he left a month ago. He hasn't even been working on the game. He was not working on this game whenever the situation went down. They say he works for mini games. That's why we don't bother him much. We just let him do his work. I feel terrible for him. He doesn't have anything to do with this, but he's the one being fully blamed. And of course, it doesn't need to be said, but all of these people have been let go from the Discord.
If there is any more information that I have missed, feel free to let me know. Again, Probably Pickets and Creekcraft's video is linked in the description and title card and all that good stuff. This is not normally the type of content I make, but I just wanted to bring this into light because this is really important. Thank you for watching.